Time for your fan weather forecast brought to you by Utke Heating and Cooling. 87 degrees, sunny skies right now. The high today was 88. Man, it is October 3rd, y'all. Clear skies for the remainder of tonight. Low of 63.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again. Sparky with you. Charlie using other side of the glass. Fantasy Football Friday with Joe Bartel, RotoWire. Fantasy Sports comes up like always at 4:20. Follow the Money, a brand new segment that we started last week with Austin Herdania of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, manager over there. We'll cover baseball and football. We'll see where the money is flowing at Potawatomi Sportsbook heading into the weekend. Now, normally at this time, we would do a Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. However, we move that up today to 2:40 with Ryan Wood of the Green Bay Press Gazette. And that was fun. If you missed that, simply go back and you can listen to it again if you'd like. Don't forget, you can win big this October at Potawatomi. Play the Bird Bash game show for $50,000 in cash. Just play with your Potawatomi rewards card for entries. Prize drawings on Thursdays. Plus, your play also earns you a shot at the $300,000 December season finale. It's a Bird Bash only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. For more details, visit paysbig.com/birdbash. So definitely want to check that out. So the reason we moved it, that segment, the Green and Gold update, is because we knew Matt Arnold, Brewers general manager, Mark Antonaccio, the owner of the Milwaukee Brewers, were going to have a joint press conference today, and I wanted to make sure that we played some of it. Now, don't forget, the playoff preview show comes up here at 5 o'clock, 5 to 6, with Tommy Wirtz and Andrew Wagner. You'll hear from Pat Murphy. You'll hear from the trader, Craig Counsell of the Chicago Cubs as well. And maybe Freddie Peralta. Do we have Freddie for Peralta for that show too, I think, right?
Yes. He's with Jackson Churro, so they were out there together.
Yep. So you'll hear from those guys as well on the playoff preview show again with Tommy Wirtz and Drew Wagner coming up here from 5 until 6 here on the Fan. So just keep it locked in. More Brewers stuff straight ahead to 6 o'clock. This is night 4 of playoff preview shows on the Fan. Very proud of the work those guys have done for certain. Okay, so I can play the whole thing or I can play cuts, and I am going to go with I want to hear a lot of Matt Arnold, so we're gonna start off with some Matt Arnold. Now, some of these are duo answers. Is that what I'm understanding? Based on
there's about 2 of them, 2 or 3 of them that are duo answers
based on what's going on here. Matt Arnold talking about what they saw in Quinn Priester when they made that deal. If you remember, I was critical of that deal because Quinn Priester was a complete failure in Pittsburgh after being a first-round pick. Boston then obviously got rid of him as well. And I was just questioning, like, what are we doing? And then he came out and he pitched, wasn't very good. I wasn't happy with that deal at all. Now, all of a sudden, fast forward, Quinn Priester is going to start game 2 or game 3. Murphy's saying today that he doesn't know who's starting game 2, that it'll be Priester or Quintana, but he's not saying yet. So we'll see where that goes. But he's going to start a playoff game for this Brewers team. And if in April you would have told people he's starting a playoff game for the Brewers, you would have been laughed at, Charlie.
Yeah, I think so.
You would have been laughed at.
He was probably a guy most people expected to be like every other player that they bring in for a month or two to help fill in that rotation.
No doubt. Here's Matt Arnold, Brewers GM on Priester.
He's certainly a talented player. Had identified him years ago, frankly, through the draft process. I mean, he was a high pedigree draft pick. I'd followed him for years. Obviously, when guys come up to the big leagues, especially as pitchers, they don't always have success immediately, but we thought there were some really good ingredients there. And so, again, teaming up with our guys, we felt like, especially in the moment at that time, we were obviously very thin with pitching. Felt like he was somebody that was in AAA for the Red Sox, and we thought could help us. So, again, huge credit to Quinn for what he's been able to become, and a credit to our staff for tapping into him. He's done a great job.
You cannot pay Chris Hook, the Brewers pitching coach, enough money. I don't. Giannis is making $50 million. Jordan Love making $50 million. Giannis' next deal, he's gonna make like $75 or $76 million. I give whatever. Chris Hook goes, I want Giannis money. Paid. Pay the man. Pay the man whatever the heck he wants. I want 20 a year. Done. But the highest pitching coach is only making like 3. Don't care. I want 20. All right. You got it. We'll take care of you. Making more than the manager, 4 or 5 times more than the manager. Fine with me. I got no problems. Chris Hook is here for the rest of his life.
Give him Rich Bisaccia's contract, maybe. Fire Rich Bisaccia, mix the money.
So you just let him coach special teams too?
Yeah,
fine,
I think so.
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
I think
sure.
he could figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm all in. Sure. Yeah, I don't care. Whatever Chris Hook wants, Chris Hook gets, as far as I'm concerned. Don't ever let him out of this organization, no matter what happens. Matt Arnold talking about the guy that won Manager of the Year last year and is in probably a pretty good position to win Manager of the Year this year as well, Pat Murphy.
I mean, what you see is what you get from Murph, and so it's every day is what he brings. He brings an intensity. He brings a relentless approach. He cares so much about the people in the room and winning that it's infectious. It really is. I think it's been tremendous because it's become part of our fabric, and even when we go through tough parts of our season, like we did at the start, Murph was there continuing to challenge the group, and I think that means a lot. There are a lot of teams I think that could have potentially gone the other direction. And again, a huge credit to Murph for keeping us on the right path.
I would love to know the real story on Pat Murphy hire. I would love to know the real story. I would. Like when they hired Pat Murphy, because again, he's an older guy, right? Like when they hired Pat Murphy, they're like, this is our guy for the next 5 to 10 years. Let's roll, right? Or do they hire Pat Murphy as that in-between guy of, look, we're probably going to struggle a little bit here. We're going to get really young. Expectations are going to go down. You don't want to struggle for a very long period of time, but he's a perfect guy to get us from the struggle back to playoff contention. And then we can go with a younger guy to come in here and kind of take us over the hump. I would just love to know what the thought was. Like, were they all in behind the scenes on Pat Murphy? Front facing to the cameras, they've all been on board with Pat Murphy the whole time. So I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying, when you're chilling, talking to your wife at home, if you're Matt Arnold or Mark Attanasio, I would love to know what the thought process was at that point of just how good they thought Pat Murphy might end up being at the end of the day. Because the dude has been amazing. As much as he irritates me with some of the stuff he does, he's a damn good coach. There's no question. Damn good manager.
He's a damn good manager who just understands baseball and the fine points of baseball, and that sometimes it's more simple than it is difficult. And sometimes people are digging into numbers too much, but he also knows how to dig into the numbers too. He really just understands, again, all the facets of the game more so than I think a lot of other managers across the league do.
Totally agree with you. Matt Arnold asked about the idea of not making a splash trade at the deadline. Yeah, they trade for Andrew Vaughn earlier and so forth, but they didn't go get Suarez like I was wanting them to go get, as many were wanting him to go get. They wanted a power bat. It's what they wanted. The Brewers did not do that. Here's Matt Arnold.
Yeah, look, I think every move is sort of in isolation to some degree, but it's about the whole unit, honestly. And I think certainly we were tapped into all the different opportunities that were out there. And we felt like we had the right people in the mix, and I think sometimes when you want to subtract a piece or add a piece, that can change the dynamic in the clubhouse, certainly. And that was a big factor for us. And so a lot of it had to do with who we had at the moment. And the other part is kind of what you're giving up for the future. And I think that's been a big part of this is continue to support the pipeline that we have currently, which we are very excited about, but that's not why we're here today. we're here today because of the group in that room. And really that was just a vote of confidence for the guys in that room, because again, they've done just an incredible job to get us to this point.
That's something else I would love off the record to hear from David Stearns, from Mark Antanasio, not Mark Antanasio, but from David Stearns and Matt Arnold. I mean, Stearns was given the green light to trade away a good chunk of his farm system to go get Christian Yelich. So he did it. I'd love to know how much of a green light they really have to go trade a bunch of prospects for a guy, right? Now, you're not going to trade number one draft picks like the Packers did to get Micah Parsons, but when you're trading away top prospects, and I know I'm not trying to get Tommy Wirtz mad before his 5 o'clock show, playoff preview show, but if they were to trade Amade and a Pena for an Acuna, like Charlie and I were talking about earlier in the year, that's what it would be equivalent to, right? Two number ones and Kenny Clark for Micah Parsons would be equivalent to the Brewers trading Made, Pena, and I don't know, somebody else to go get a superstar hitter or pitcher, whatever, in return. And when you do that, you better be right, because the guys you're trading are cheap contracts for several years. And instead, you're going to pay mega dollars to one dude that's going to eat up a majority of your payroll. So you can't miss. If you make that deal, that's why I always say, if you're a small market team, you never, ever trade for a superstar pitcher, because elbows, shoulders, all that could ruin that deal. You're much better off trading for a hitter than you are a pitcher.
I don't know if it's 100% fair to compare it to the Micah Parsons deal, because Jesus Mate and Luis Pena, guys that were just ranked number 4 and number 18 on the MLB Pipeline's latest rankings out there, some really high results for those two guys. I think that's more comparative to like the Bears trading their first round pick. The Packers' first round picks are going to be later. They're going to be in the 20s, hopefully, as long as everybody stays healthy and this team is as good as we think they can be with the Micah Parsons. So that's some lower prospects for the Brewers. I think if you were to move a Pena and a Made in the same trade, you have to make sure you're getting back somebody who is a guaranteed superstar.
Like Acuna.
I don't even know if Acuna at this point, based on what I saw this season where he kind of had a down year coming off that injury, another big injury for him in his career. I think there's legitimately like 3 guys that I think that package is worth. Right now.
You've got 3 guys?
I think it's Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani. Well, it might only be those 2 guys. Like Pena and Made are that important and that valuable.
No, I don't agree.
To move them both in the same trade.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think my board is much bigger than your board. I know my board is much bigger than your board at 3. I think my board would probably get to 10 or 15 of impact bats that you could put into this thing. Okay. That would change.
Maybe like a Jackson Merrill, just because he's 22 years old. He's younger
guy, right? With potential superstar upside. Yep, that's cheap already. Like all of that. I mean, I just think, and again, they're never going to do this. So don't worry. Like, they'll be like, Sparky, shut up. They're not going to listen to me. They never listen to me. But I'm just saying, like, that go for it move that the Packers made, you see it sometimes. They went for it with the Greinke deal, right? That helped the Royals get the 2 World Series. The base of that team was because of the Brewers farm system. They went for it with Sabathia. That was a complete flip-out deal in Cleveland. The player to be named later, Michael Brantley, was really good and still playing or whatever. So, but the 2 crown pieces did not work out. Laporta retired at like age 29 in that deal. So from that perspective, that didn't burn him. The big deal to go get Christian Yelich, that was a complete loser across the board for the Marlins and a complete home run for the Brewers. So they really haven't been. I mean, the Royals deal, maybe you can say they were burned a little bit because you didn't get to a World Series with Greinke, but Greinke pitched damn well and was healthy for the Brewers when he was here.
He was really good. And there was only kind of the Brewers in their way of keeping him around. He was a guy that I think would have been willing to stay with the Brewers potentially if they were willing to give him what he wanted.
It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie Hughes, other side of the glass as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, stream us live right there on YouTube. Check out the videos. Check out the shorts. Follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Like, share, as Charlie would say. Share with your friends and family, all that good stuff. Let's hear from Matt Arnold and Mark Antanasio when both of them thought this team could be special.
Yeah, good question. I don't know if there was like a specific date. I think back to where we were in New York and where we weren't at the moment, and we were going through a lot of things with injuries and obviously the torpedo bats that week, and we came home and we weren't great there either. Pretty dark spot at the moment, but I'll tell you what, I didn't feel doubt from the group. I think that was the thing that got us through it, and that, again, that's a credit to the people in that room that compete every single day. And I really felt like we had a really special group early on when we were able to weather that early part of the season, and for us to come out the other side of that and then start really clicking kind of in the second half. Along the way, there are certainly some special moments along the way that were great. But it really has been a strong group really since we left Arizona. And so, again, credit to that group and to Murph and all the coaches as well.
There was William Contreras wrote a piece in I think they call it the Players Tribune, and he credited, I've got my Spanish right, Unidad. That clubhouse is as unified as any clubhouse we've had. 2008 was similar, very unified clubhouse, and I think that has a lot to do with the results you see.
Come on, man. You won 14 games in a row. Neither one of you all brought up 14 in a row. Or how about the 11 in a row before you got to 14 in a row? How about that stretch of from the trade deadline to the end of August? That's when we knew, holy crap, we're a lot better than maybe we thought we were going to be. To me, that was the obvious answer. And I get, playing the politically correct stuff, and we're really unified and all that. And all that's really good. I'm not saying that's not all part of it. I would like to say that I overreacted. I know, something different for me. I overreacted on what the hell are the name of those bats?
Torpedo bats. I was going to say, he brought those up. I was like, everybody forgot about those after the first month.
I was on the radio going, man, Brewers, you better be ordering torpedo bats for your team after this. Don't be the last team in. Order those damn torpedo bats and let's see what happens. It wasn't torpedo bats. It's just bad pitching.
Rhys Hoskins was the only one who really got one for the Brewers, and he didn't really look all that great after a while.
No, I mean, he did get going. He was the one that was going when they were stinking in May. Mm-hmm. He was the one guy hitting well. Maybe it was the torpedo bat in May. Right. But yeah, so I overreacted there. So I apologize. They didn't have to go order the torpedo bats at the end of the day. Coming up next, Joe Bartel, some fantasy football with RotoWire Fantasy Sports. Follow him on Twitter at JB Fantasy Sports. That's coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie using other side of the glass. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Don't forget tomorrow, Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mound, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tommy Wirtz will be out there with the leadoff show, expanded edition. Thanks to Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea for us being out there. Make sure to have a couple of those. You come hang out with us at Kelly's Bleachers. Obviously, they got the shows to and from the game, all that fun stuff. But Mason Crosby, Tim Dillard, Rami Makloff will be there in person. I'll be there in person in the 11 o'clock hour. Rami will be there in the 10 o'clock hour. Tommy will be there for the duration from 9 to 1. Andrew Wagner, Austin Herdania from the Potawatomi Sportsbook will join like they always do on the leadoff show. All kinds of stuff from before the game at American Family Field that you'll hear being played. Maybe some of the stuff we don't get to today and Tommy doesn't get to on the playoff preview show coming up from 5 to 6 tonight. Maybe have some of that tomorrow too. So it's going to be an awesome show. Come hang out, and I'll do it again. For those of you that are on YouTube, I will stand up and you can see the Euchre Magic t-shirts with the number 9 right there, the fan t-shirts. We'll be giving those away tomorrow at Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mound as well. If you're interested in grabbing yourself a Euchre Magic t-shirt, come on out. Again, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow, Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mountain. Time now for a little fantasy football with our friend Joe Bartel from RotoWire Fantasy Sports. He joins us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. Mr. Bartel, how are you today?
Doing all right. I guess the Packers being on bye means I don't have to get disappointed by bad coaching decisions for a third consecutive week. So that's good. But I'll be honest with you guys, and I think everyone who is in a decent amount of fantasy leagues this year, this has to be one of the bleakest overall weeks that I can remember, with as many big name guys out. Of course, a bunch of people on bye as well, affecting us in Packerland in particular. It's going to be bad. And for my 17 teams, it's really ugly. So it's been a very frustrating morning trying to cipher through all that stuff.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Lamar Jackson, who appears is not going to play this week. What does that mean for everybody that has Baltimore Raven players going into this one?
Yeah, really tough. The assumption, you're right, they haven't officially ruled out Lamar. If they have it,
yeah, he's out.
But
he's not playing.
I mean, the DMP throughout the full week. I expect he's not going to play next week either. I mean, really, it's Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers, and then Derrick Henry. You're still playing Derrick Henry, and with all the other receiver injuries this week, you might still have to play Zay Flowers. I think Mark Andrews can be confidently taken out of the lineup, and I don't have any degree of faith that Cooper Rush can execute any version of the offense, much less the Ravens offense. That feels foolish to me as a backup signing quarterback, and I never really understood why they did that. So in my mind, I think it's Derrick Henry basically exclusively that you want to play. Now, if you are of the belief that game script is like an actionable thing, that you can project a game script, and I'll explain why I don't think so in just a second. A guy like Justice Hill, like if Cooper Rush is really struggling, you're trying to negate that pass rush for the Texans, you do a bunch of screen passes to Justice Hill, maybe he catches like a 3 for 25, whatever. I mean, it's a bleak 5.5 PPR points, but you could do a whole lot worse at the running back position. The only reason I say you can't project that is because I thought last night the Niners were going to be just annihilated by the Rams, and that you could play Blake Corum based off the game script. He should get a bunch of carries because the Rams should be up by double digits at halftime. And we have watched that here in the States many times where the game script was supposed to matter and never did. So I'm not really eager to bet on that. And I think if you're saying Justice Hill gets more involved from the Ravens' perspective because they just need something else besides Derrick Henry to do it, like I get that, but it is bleak in Baltimore.
You know, Joe, I didn't. A girl had a quandary to deal with going into last night's game. She had Matthew Stafford going in that game against the Niners, depleted offense. And then she had Jaden Daniels coming back off of a game with injury against the Chargers, it looks like. And the Chargers, obviously, even though they lost last week, still a formidable team. She's like, what would you do? I said, they're both pretty good defenses. I said, but my belief is if an offense is depleted on one side, I'm always going to play as many guys as I can on the other team, assuming that the other team is going to win that matchup. That didn't happen, but that was my logic. She played Stafford. Stafford got her like 33 points. Is she going to look back at this and regret it, or do you think Jaden Daniels does that or more?
I don't think she's going to look back and regret that she got quarterback 2 performance in the entire week, even if Jaden Daniels somehow does the impossible and scores more than that. I wouldn't have recommended that logic. I guess that's why you ask you, who seems to be on it more than I am, at least at this point. And, Jaden Daniels coming back from injury against the Chargers defense. No Terry McLaurin, possibly no Debo either. I haven't checked recently, but I know he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. That's a really tough spot. So in a way, I get it. I think the reason you have Jaden Daniels is because you don't have to be in this spot week to week, and that he was injured. Maybe it forced fantasy managers to have to kind of look for other options out there. Stafford ended up being a great call, obviously. And I think Jaden Daniels, from a rushing perspective, still gives you a floor that you're very comfortable with, especially with at least 3 stars on bye. I guess maybe 2 if you don't want Michael Penix, but certainly Jordan Love and Caleb Williams. And then Lamar injured, Joe Burrow injured. I mean, 33 points, if that's not one of the top overall this week, I will be stunned. I'm expecting a whole lot of low point totals for week 5.
I'm a Colts fan and a Packers fan. I've been saying I'm not sure I'm buying Daniel Jones, but where are we in fantasy at this point? Because, they play the Raiders this week, and that Colts offense has been moving. And again, that's the thing, too, with this Colts offense. Is it real, or is this thing going to flame out eventually?
It could. I guess I'm just done pretending like we need to project as if it will. When that happens, or if that happens, we'll see it, and then we'll adjust accordingly. But for right now, Daniel Jones is a quarterback one. And I thought the first couple weeks of the season, when he's falling in for 1-yard touchdowns over Jonathan Taylor, that's not something that gets repeated very often. But back-to-back what? We're seeing close to 300 passing yards. That's going to be something I expect happens not on a routine basis, but that's where the Colts are at right now in their schedule, especially in a favorable AFC South. I think will dictate Daniel Jones being right up there the rest of the season. Again, no Jordan Love, no Caleb Williams, no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. There's a number of reasons why you're playing Daniel Jones anyway, but even if every one of those guys is healthier, not on bye, I think you are very comfortably going ahead and using Daniel Jones on a week-to-week basis.
Where are we at on running backs as far as guys like Omarion Hampton, the rookie, who because of injury now gets his bigger role? Are you all in on having that guy playing every week?
Yeah, I thought this was going to go a different direction. No Trey Benson. So how do you get the Cardinals backfield of Marty Mercado and Michael Carter? I spent
no
3
chance
hours.
I'm taking either one of those cats.
Yeah, well, good for you that you're in a position that you can do that. I had to decide between Alec Pierce and Amari DiMercado, and now Pierce got ruled out again. So la-di-da-di-da, that you're in a better league than me where you drafted so much better enough injuries. I don't have a choice. And I have to imagine some people are in that spot. But the Omarion Hamptons of the world, great. We're talking about, in my mind, top 5 running back rest of the way, maybe Kyron Williams, James Cook. I think they're up there, obviously, but I think Omarion Hampton with that workload. And more importantly, I think this is very true, until the Chargers trade for another running back, I think Jerome Ford in particular makes sense. You're going to have Omarion Hampton be the ball carrier, the pass catcher, the pass blocker. He will be everything to that offense. So in my mind, Omarion Hampton is almost a you can't touch. I would not consider him a trade for anything.
Talking about young guys, a guy that everybody loved in college, I think probably fell by fan perspective because they loved watching him play, but now has come on for the Giants. That's Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about Cam Scatterbo because the personality, and you hear some stuff from around the league, how does that work as a day 3 guy to have the attitude and ego that Cam Scatterbo does? Well, when Tyrone Tracy, the nominal starter, gets injured for a month, you could just kind of walk right in and say, yeah, I own the place. And he's done well. Now, the volume is kind of propping up his fantasy total. I think Jackson Dart this week is a totally fine streamer, but look at the rest of the next 4 games afterwards, 2 against the Eagles, 1 against the Niners, 1 against the Broncos. I would assume Jackson Dart will struggle in every one of those. And if that's the case, Cam Scatterbo could get all the volume he wants, but he's going to be in a tough spot too. In full point PPR leagues, you're still fine with it. And again, with as many injured options that are just kind of cutting away at things plus the buys, you have to be ecstatic to have a round 9, round 8 Cam Scatterbo. But I do think his limitations are a bit more obvious for the next month of the season with the Giants.
Where are we at on Marvin Harrison Jr., Joe Bartell of RotoWire Fantasy Sports? Because this guy was catching a lot of flack in the first couple of weeks of the season.
Yeah, I'll default to guys that do this way smarter than me. I listen to the Athletic podcast. Robert Mays and company do a fantastic job. And actually, in the offseason, this is a question I was asking myself too, because we know Marvin Harrison was basically touted as a can't-miss prospect. Yep. And what happened his rookie year when so many other rookies, including that year, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, thrived. And the guys from the Athletic podcast were suggesting that Marvin Harrison was being far too often used as deep crosser routes, kind of corner routes. And the throws that the Cardinals were expecting Kyler Murray to make, either Murray couldn't do, or the routes that Marvin Harrison was running, were not going to be in a good position to catch a lot of those balls. So whereas you see Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors be volume pass catchers, the Cardinals, and I think this is an indictment on Drew Petzing, I want to be clear, this is not a Marvin Harrison issue, seem to want that volume to go to the running backs and more importantly to Trey McBride. So Marvin Harrison just being the Christian Watson, so to speak, to clear out things for everyone else underneath. That feels like the worst way to use a generational prospect. And I do think it's affected Marvin Harrison's confidence. Now, we saw it last Thursday, and really he was able to redeem himself in the second half. But I mean, I was never drafting Marvin Harrison where his ADP was that mid-third round range. There's a whole lot of other guys I liked instead. And I don't see how this changes until this offseason when the Cardinals realize how dumb their coordinator is and fire him.
Oof. That's a little harsh, don't you think? How dumb the coordinator is. He is Joe.
I could sit there on the phone and tell you that and act all high and mighty, but you're right. I mean, I probably can't. You should be using Marvin Harrison differently. That's not a crazy statement. I think most people in the NFL would say that too. So that's where I come across with it strong.
All right, you already talked about that guy that nobody's going to pick up but you. But outside of that one guy in Arizona, who else do you like this week for people that are desperate?
Yeah, Amari DiMercato and Michael Carter is going to be the fantasy conundrum that nobody wants to deal with. And apparently you are going to just be high and mighty about it, and I don't get to have that benefit. So plus to you, I'm very happy for you that you don't have to deal with that. Unfortunately, I do. I mean, it's going to be really tough. I was debating then between, okay, if it's not Amari DiMercato or Michael Carter, again, former Jet, who I think actually is the one that wins that Cardinals backfield or gets more usage. Then there's Bucky Irving, who's out. And in that instance, you're going to see probably a combo of Rashad White, who I think will do well enough to be able to warrant play. And then Sean Tucker, who's going to kind of platoon and cut into that workload. Chuba Hubbard's going to be out this week as well, too. So Rico Dowdle becomes in the spot. And I've seen some people pick up Trevor Etienne. Don't do that. The Panthers are bad enough. We don't have to go down to their third string running back. And I mean, overall, I think the receivers, one of them has been on a fringe for me. And I hope we just do the easy thing. Is Jalen Waddle just kind of sliding right into that Tyreek Hill role after an unfortunate Monday night injury?
Right.
If Mike McDaniel can just use Jalen Waddle like Tyreek Hill, we're all going to be better for it. And yet I'm slightly nervous that Mike McDaniel, the ever genius that he is, will think Malik Washington needs to be more involved in the passing game and Jalen Waddle gets phased out. I don't know. I would really not want to bet on it or have to rely on it fantasy-wise, but I think Jalen Waddle, it just seems like the path of least resistance. I'll play him this week, hoping that Mike McDaniel agrees with me.
There he is, Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy Sports. Follow him on Twitter at JB Fantasy Sports. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. See you.
There he is, Joe Bartel, Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Up next, follow the money. Austin Herdenia, Potawatomi Sportsbook Manager, straight ahead on Wisconsin Sportsbook Day. Wisconsin Sportsbook? Do you think they would want to change the name of the show?
I don't know about
Sportsbook
that.
Daily. No,
doesn't flow as nicely.
It's Wisconsin. It sounded all right to me. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky Fifer here. Charlie Usen over there, other side of the glass. Hope everybody is having a good Friday. It's a playoff Friday, everybody. A playoff Friday. Now, for me, this is a big deal because this Brewers baseball team needs to win a World Series before I die. Like, this is just something that needs to happen at the end of the day for me. I don't know about everybody else, but for me, this needs to happen. So we'll see if it happens this year, next year, another year. The Bucks won one while I was here and alive and got to witness that. I need to see one from the Milwaukee Brewers. Time now for the Follow the Money segment, brought to you by Austin Herdenia and the Potawatomi Sportsbook manager. He joins us now. Thanks for coming on, Austin. How are you doing?
Excellent. Yeah, like you just said, the Bucks won one in our lifetime. I never thought I'd see that happen, but now the Brewers, this is the closest that I feel like we could get it done. I'm really excited about the playoff run.
It's going to be fun. Let's start with baseball. Follow the money. Yeah. Now, for those people that missed last week's first segment of this Follow the Money segment, this is really not telling you necessarily who to pick. I mean, we'll let Austin make a pick or two here before we get out of here, but it's mainly telling you where people are betting their money when they go to the Potawatomi Sportsbook. This isn't any other casinos bets. This isn't online bets. This is just how people are betting in Milwaukee at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. So let's talk about where is the most money right now going into game one of the NLDSs.
So I'll tell you what, right now it's on the Brewers. Not just for the game, but also the series. Right now, the price is Brewers minus 125 for the series. Comeback price is Cubs plus 105. And then for the actual game itself, game one, right now it sits at Brewers minus 155 with Peralta on the mound. And the Cubs are at plus 130, total of 7.5, juice to the under. Experts are thinking it's going to be, a lower scoring game, just like a lot of these playoff games have been. With the home team Brewers being the favorite. So it's looking good for a game one.
How do you feel?
How do I feel? I'll tell you what, Cubs are coming in with a lot of momentum. I always worry about these playoff teams that have, days off, several days off before they come back for a game. But this is the schedule that Major League Baseball did this year. They really tightened it up. Where, it's 3 games at home for that series. The Cubs had all 3 at home, no travel, no days off, really. Today's the only day off the Cubs have had. I'm feeling good. I feel like it's not going to be an issue. I saw some video yesterday of, Pat Murphy shared with the Brewers doing some scrimmaging and teams having fun. They're staying, light mood. I'm feeling good about the Brewers. And I'll tell you what, a lot of our bettors are as well. And I pulled some tickets for you. I know we talked about, some of the bigger tickets that we've had on the Brewers this year. So let me share a few of them with you, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Let's go.
So for the Brewers to win the National League, we have a bet here of 500 to win 10,500 at 20 to 1. Yeah, that's just to win the National League. Now, to win the World Series, we have a bet 50 to 1 odds placed back in April, $100 to win 5,100. That was, shortly after the Brewers got off to a rough start. And then back in March, we have some bets here. Brewers to win it all, 500 to win 20,500, 150 to win 6,150. But yeah, it's, I went through these tickets. There are so many just like this. If you're there, we must have hundreds of bets of people that bet like 25 to $50 on it. It's going to be rough. If the Brewers win it all, I'm hoping to still have a job. I'll just say that. Are you a wrestling fan at all?
I used to be back in the day. I don't follow it like you all followed it anymore, but I used to be, yeah.
You remember The Rock, right?
Yeah.
So if the Brewers win it all this year, we're going to be paying out millions and millions of dollars to our bettors. It is going to be rough just to win the National League. If the Brewers win the National League, it's going to cost us a lot of money. But as much as it's going to cost us money, as a fan, I still really want it to happen. I really do.
Yeah, right.
I want this parade. I want to have a nice parade down Milwaukee.
Downtown. And they better do it differently than the Bucks. The Bucks blew a golden opportunity that I will never understand. How in the world do you have a parade and not have it end at Summerfest and have bands playing and have the whole thing going? It didn't end. They didn't win in December. My God, it was the middle of summer. You couldn't have figured that one out. Like, I don't know. To me, it would have made all the sense in the world to have that thing end at the Summerfest grounds or at State Fair and open up State Fair and let everybody party in June at State Fair.
I hope in a couple of weeks we're going to be talking about doing the parade the right way.
Yes. And now, again, it's colder outside, so who knows how cold it's going to be by the time this thing ends. Maybe it doesn't make as much sense. But I'm telling you, if you have it outside, serve hot chocolate and all that other stuff, people will come. They will most definitely come if they win the World Series. Talking with Austin Herdenia, follow the money. He's the sportsbook manager over at Potawatomi Sportsbook, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's with me, Steve Sparky Fifer. Let's switch gears. Let's go to the NFL. No Packers this week. They're on bye. So the most money cannot be on the Packers this week. So where is the most money bet right now?
I'll tell you what, they're on the team the Packers just tied with. They're on the Dallas Cowboys, -2.5 against the New York Jets. It's a game where I don't know. It's one of those lines where I'm kind of surprised by that. I thought the Cowboys would be a little bit more of a favorite. I know they're a little banged up. They're still playing without CeeDee Lamb. But the Jets are the Jets. I think it's going to be a hard time any week that we really get many people betting on the Jets. So I'm not surprised the Cowboys are number one. And then number two, we have Minnesota Vikings -3.5 against Cleveland Browns. That's the early game in England, Sunday morning, 8:30. Our sportsbook's open at 8 a.m. So come on in, come watch the games, get your bets in. Vikings -3.5. I know they're playing without 3 starting offensive linemen, and they're on their third string center. So it's going to be rough for them when the Browns have probably the best defensive line in football.
But this is the one thing. We start talking about where people are making their bets, and we go back to that Cowboys thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it just Packer fans thinking, well, they're pretty good, man. They scored 40 against our defense. Let me go throw a bunch of money at Dallas. Is that all it is, or is there more to it?
I think that's definitely part of it.
Yes.
The line being -2.5 as well, being under that key number of 3. I think a lot of people feel like, oh, if I'm betting -2.5, I'm kind of betting like them just to win. I think that kind of gets in a lot of people's minds, I think. But yeah, I think more importantly, they're playing the Jets. I think a lot of people just think the Jets are pretty bad.
Now, once you get into the season, I'm assuming you're still taking bets on Packers to win the division and so forth as those numbers are changing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, Packers to win the division. We are very, very lopsided on that. We're very lopsided on anything Packers, really. Division, NFC, Super Bowl. I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath if the Packers win it all, same way that it is for the Brewers. It just is. I
got to follow up that. And I know you don't have this in front of you because I wasn't prepared to ask this question. But is it the same thing going on with the Bucs? Because the Bucs, they're not picked to go, finish top 3, top 4 right now in the association. Their first preseason game is Monday. I just wondered, are they as heavily bet on as the other two?
So I'll tell you what, I get notifications on my phone anytime like a larger bet comes in that's going to potentially, cost us a lot of money. And a few times this week, we've had bets on the Bucs to win it all come in. So anything could happen. I am not as high on the Bucs as I am on this Brewers team. But yeah, it's still something where the local people around here are definitely putting their money on the Bucs. They're the most bet team to win it all in basketball so far this year.
Austin Herdenia, thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait for the leadoff show tomorrow, extended from Kelly's Bleachers on Blue Mountain from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the game tomorrow as well with Tommy Wirtz. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sparky.
Take care. And again, Austin Herdenia joins us on the Fan Guest Hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. And Tommy Wirtz will be out there from 9 to 1. Again, Mason Crosby will be on. Tim Dillard will be on. Rami Makloff will be out there at 10. Bring your eggs. I'll be out there at around 11:30, 11:40, hanging out with Tommy Wirtz. All the hosts on the station, for the most part, will be on the show tomorrow at some point. We have Josh Albrecht and Trevor Thomas from Inside Wisconsin Sports, our morning show. They'll be tailgating in the parking lot together, hanging out, talking to people and stuff. We'll have these Euchre Magic shirts that will be given out while they last, coming up at Kelly's Bleachers in Blue Mountain. Trust me, you're going to want one. Everyone I've shown these to love them. So make sure to get out there and do that. Hey, in a world of tenders, Wendy's decided to make something more juicy, more crispy, more dippable. New chicken tenders are here. Some may call them tendies, and yes, it's fun to say and even more fun to eat. Wendy's new chicken tendies come with an insane new sauce lineup. New Wendy's signature, new sweet chili, or new scorching hot. Or just choose one of the classics, honey barbecue, creamy ranch, or honey mustard. Whatever you choose, they're the perfect vessel to dip all your tendies in. Wendy's new chicken tenders are so juicy, crispy, and dippable, you'll remember them forever. Gotta have tendies. It's gotta be Wendy's. We got a couple minutes left to go here on the show. Charlie Usen and I are not going to talk because he's done tomorrow producing this extended leadoff show at 11. And then Mitch Nellis, Thunder Nellis, will be in producing from 11 to 1 and helping out Tommy on the air as well. So you and I got to clear some stuff up here with a couple minutes to go. All right. First things first, I want your thoughts on game 1 tomorrow, Brewers against the Cubs.
I think, and this is not indicative of what I think for the entire series, but that the Chicago Cubs are going to come out and win game 1. And I think it's mostly just off of the fact that they've gotten going here and they've had 3 games to kind of get warmed up to the playoff atmosphere. And that this first game for the Milwaukee Brewers, who have kind of been sitting at home for a little while, will end up being a wake-up call for them right away in the playoffs here. I think the Cubs come out swinging right away. They want this in Milwaukee, and I think this is something that would be a big deal for them inside that clubhouse. The Brewers will figure it out quickly, though, I think.
Okay, so I will tell you, if I have a fear in game 1, it's Peralta getting beat around in the first inning. That's my fear. That's been a Peralta thing for a long time. Not as much maybe this year, but Peralta always seemingly has that one inning where he is in all kinds of hot water and trouble. Sometimes he's able to get out of it with giving up a run or so, and then he settles down and he's okay, right? You just don't want that to blow up in his face in the first inning. Like you were talking about yesterday going in that Padres game, you wanted 3 or 4-0 lead early to give the Cubs a chance. You did not want to have to be chasing going into that bullpen, right? I think from a Brewers perspective, you want to survive that first inning with Freddie Peralta. If it's zeros, 1, 2, 3, and then you're able to put up a quick 2, and it's 2-0 after 1, I think then it sets up perfectly for the Brewers to go win this baseball game.
I think so. And I think with Freddie Peralta, that's just good to get his confidence going early in that game. I think for him and for this Brewers team, ideally, you'd want him to go pretty clean through 3 innings, not just 1 inning. It'd be nice for him to go through 3 clean and then see what can happen there and hope your offense can take over a little bit and outplay the Cubs offense.
Yeah, I think that is a big part of it. All right, time now. I'll take the Brewers, by the way. To win game 1. I'll take them to win game 1, 5-3. 5-3 Brewers over the Cubs, game 1 at American Family Field. Let me ask you another question. What percentage do you think will be agreed upon from people at the stadium that will be wearing Cubs colors?
I think there will be a good 65-35 Cubs to Brewers split.
Holy crap. Like, I'm seriously... That is going to be the worst thing possible if that happens. 55-45. That would be, or 65, did you say?
65-35, yep.
No. I'll say Cub fans have 30%. 35% Cub fans.
I hope so.
Because otherwise it's going to suck for the players. Like, I feel horrible for the players because that's a horrible representation of this fan base if that many people sell their tickets. I mean, I get it. I get why they do it because you get twice or 3 times the amount. One last one here, 30 seconds or so left. And then it's the fan preview playoff show coming up here from 5 to 6. Show from Pat Murphy, the Trader Talks today as well. What's your pick for the series?
I think my pick for the series is the Milwaukee Brewers overall. I think this goes all 5, but the Brewers win the series in 5.
I'm also with you. I also will take the Brewers in 5. So Chicago, Charlie, Sparky agree. Brewers in 5. That means the Cubs will probably win in 3. That'll do it for today's show. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tommy Wirtz up next here on The Fan. Don't go anywhere. Toodles.